Hello, Mustafa. Thank you for accepting my invitation today to interview you. So maybe you start by introducing yourself and tell us where are you speaking from.
Okay, hello Yasmin. Yeah, it's very welcome. So my name is Mustafa Danash, originally from Egypt, from Cairo, and living in the Netherlands for almost like 5 years now. I live in a city called Eindhoven. It's a little bit in the south, so not in Amsterdam and this area. But yeah.
Okay. So why did you move to Eindhoven or like the Netherlands? And did you move there for study or did you move there for work? And yeah, could you tell us
Okay.
more about it?
Yeah, I mainly moved for work directly. I studied back in Egypt, like I graduated 13 years ago. Wow.
Okay.
Okay, I'm too old now. So I graduated like 13 years ago, and I worked for like 7 years in Egypt, and then I moved directly with a work contract to the Netherlands. Mainly, it's the reason was the Netherlands. I didn't decide Eindhoven. It was by chance that the opportunity that I got was in Eindhoven. But I mainly moved to the Netherlands because, yeah, okay, there is one main reason, and it's weird, but it's true, is because of the lifestyle of the Netherlands and the life of the bikes.
Okay.
So that's what I was wishing to like continue my life with, to be able to move everywhere by bike and to be very safe and to feel like the infrastructure is really helpful for this. And once I knew that there are some opportunities for software engineers in the Netherlands, I started applying, and then I decided to move based on this. But then later on, I figured out too many other nice things in the Netherlands, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. Have you been using your bike before traveling to the Netherlands back in Egypt, and then it was harder for you, or why was it the main reason, let's say, to move or choose the Netherlands as the next moving place?
Yeah, let's say that I like sports a lot, and I was trying actually to do this in Egypt, but because it's not that safe and it's not that easy to move with the bike, I was trying even to move like very early in the morning, like 4 a.m. or so. But then I was either hunted by dogs or by cars. So
Oh God.
in both cases, it was quite hard to keep going. But yeah, then I gave up this idea in Egypt, and then I just kept going with some other sports and practicing in the free time. And then, yeah, when the opportunity came, I thought, okay, it could be my lifestyle. Why not? I just gave it a try. And actually, I bought the bike the next day that I arrived to the Netherlands. So yeah, I did the plan like perfectly from day one.
Wow. Okay. I remember you bought the bike before even buying your mattress or maybe your bed.
Actually, yeah. So I moved in a furnished place in the beginning. In the first place that I stayed in was furnished. So I didn't care about these things, but I truly didn't even know what kind of food or where should I buy the food or where should I do anything. I just first thing that I checked was the bike, which bike I'm going to buy, and from which store. And I went to the store directly and I bought the bike, and then I thought about anything else.
Whoa. Okay. So first things first. Okay.
Yeah, that was the case.
Okay. So you are a software engineer and you moved there for work. So you've been there for 5 years and you started with a very interesting reason, like biking. And we will come definitely later to your sportive side and being an Iron Man. But first,
Okay.
maybe you tell us about challenges that you have faced so far in the Netherlands and maybe you would share with us some information or advice that you would have rather knew before moving to the Netherlands.
Sorry, about what? I didn't hear the word.
What information or advice that you maybe wished that you already knew before moving to the Netherlands? Maybe that information would have made your move more smooth or facilitated or made you avoid some challenge that you've been through.
Yeah, I would say, okay, I was lucky that I had already a friend who lives in the same city, so I was able to actually ask a few questions like where can I stay so that I can access the interesting places for me easily. Luckily, also Eindhoven is not that big, so I can access everywhere by bike like very quickly. Like in 30 minutes maximum, I can reach the end of the city. Um, also, it was also nice to know the prices of everything and to know if the contract that I'm receiving is good enough to be able to start a nice life or not. Also, the rules of the new place, like the rules in the Netherlands. How is it going? What are the things that I have to do? And I'm not used to these things in Egypt. It was also nice to know how to get the driving license because, yeah, if you know it, it becomes much easier with the benefits that we have as expats here. So what else could be asked for? Yeah, of course, for me, it was easy because I'm just single. I was moving single, so I didn't think that much about what kind of schools, what kind of area or whatever. For me, I was just thinking about a nice place that is nearby big parks that I can do sports in and also a swimming pool. That was my interests.
Okay, very nice criteria also.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in between these privileges or like advantages as expats. So could you maybe brief us about it?
Yeah, actually, there are a few benefits for the expats here in the Netherlands that as long as you are highly skilled immigrant, you are eligible to just exchange the driving license of your old country with a Dutch driving license. And you don't have to take the exams or to go to a school or to do the tests or whatever. You can just exchange so it actually deducts a lot of time and a lot of money if you just know this info. And also another thing is that um, yeah, it has some way of a calculation, but most of the people can get a feature of getting 30% of their salary tax free. They don't deduct the taxes from 30% of your salary in the first 5 years of your stay in the Netherlands.
Oh,
Yeah, that's also something.
that's really nice, and that's really nice, especially to hear as a person living in Germany and having to pay at least 42% of my salary for taxes and other insurances. So, wow, I should have
Yeah.
moved to the Netherlands.
Actually, it has some rules. So if you decided to move from Germany to the Netherlands, there is a calculation for the distance. Then, based on this distance, they decide if you get the 30% of your salary without the tax deduction or not. But yeah, if you know the rule, then it gives you a good benefit at least for the first 5 years, and then yeah, now it's almost gone. So I have to start like reducing uh, my costs a bit. So yeah, but it was truly good to know this before I moved to the Netherlands.
And so, yeah, so one advice I think indirectly you've mentioned is to try to know somebody who's in the same place where you're heading to and try to ask as many questions as you can because it saves you a lot of energy and every piece of information would save you maybe some money or some time or maybe
Yeah,
some effort.
yeah.
So yeah.
Especially
Um,
if they're also expats, then they went through this experience a little bit earlier than you, and then you can easily get some tips that can save you a lot of time and a lot of money.
okay. Um, so when you arrived to the Netherlands and you got your bike, how did you manage to expand your social network? Because that's always a critical, tricky challenge when we move abroad, especially in we come from an Arabic speaking region, and here in Europe it's a different culture, different speaking countries. So how do you manage to build your social network and
Okay.
make new friends?
Yeah, let's say that it's always different here than in Egypt, back in Egypt, because in Egypt it's much easier to get to know people. Of course, it's something like the people in Egypt, especially our circles, are really friendly and it's easy to get close to them. In the Netherlands, it's not that easy to be that close. The people are super nice. They are very friendly, but up to a certain like distance. It's not that easy to get that close from the Dutch people or maybe Europeans. I'm not sure, but I'm sure about the Dutch people. So yeah, but still, I would say if you know your interests, um, it would be easier to just practice your interests and then try to, especially if so for example, for me, I like sports. I try to find running groups, hiking groups, and then join them for walks or runs or whatever. And then I get to know some people, and then maybe I get to have some friends, and then the circle gets bigger and bigger based on this. Um, Maybe also with co-workers sometimes, because there will be also expats and might be some people from your original country. Then you can get to know more people, and then you can increase the circle and so on. So I would say, yeah, mainly work and your hobbies should be the key to know more people.
I totally agree with that. Like, yeah, when I arrived to Germany at the beginning, I started with studying a master's degree. So this was my first network. And then when I moved outside this bubble to the real German system, I started also knowing people through engaging in sports, training in a club, a sport that I used to practice as a kid back in Egypt. Or like during also learning the language, I had to go to courses to learn the German language. So I met people who are also definitely expats trying to engage and learn the language that we are all challenged with here in Germany. So I totally agree on that. And yeah, and yes, in Germany also it's almost the case. My friends in Germany, I met them originally back in Egypt or outside Germany in another projects, but it's really challenging to make friends here with Germans. In my case, it's not easy. It takes a lot of time to build a trust between people, and everyone has his own life, so it's different. So definitely, my network of friends are also like expats, like I am, like also Egyptians who also moved to Germany for different purposes, and yeah, so that's basically it, I would say. And also what is really interesting, I don't know how is the situation for you, but there are a lot of Egyptian groups on Facebook and different WhatsApp groups that help me somehow to get more information,
Yeah.
because I just write a question and then everyone, it's an open platform, and then everyone is saying something. Somebody is maybe has been through the same experience, or somebody has heard something, so it's also helping a lot. So
Yeah,
I
of
would
course.
definitely advise, yeah, I don't know, if somebody can get into these groups before moving to Europe and then maybe get some more information through them.
I would say if this person is lucky enough to know someone who's already, but yeah, I would say whenever you are moving to a city, search on Facebook on a group called Expats in this city. And then
Yes.
that's at least something. Or we also have like Egyptians in the country or the city. So usually these groups on Facebook, and then later you'll also get to know the WhatsApp groups, and then they really help a lot in answering too many questions. It feels like a small community in the community that you have in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's the same, like a small support group in the community, I would say.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned some challenges that you have maybe faced or not really. So luckily you didn't really
Okay.
say so far some challenges that you've been through. Yeah, but maybe let's move to the point where you share more information about your best moments in the Netherlands so far, or your best experience.
My best moments and best experience. Okay, that's hard to think about because, yeah, I would say the lifestyle has totally changed to be easier and less worried. That's actually um, a big benefit that you get when you move. So I would also say that my life here in the Netherlands, I can truly manage 100% of my time. So I can get the most efficient use of this time. So I can do everything that I like to do. Okay, not everything, of course, but I can reduce the things that waste my time. That's also based on that I don't have to wait for transportation because I just move my bike everywhere. I know what exactly time is needed to move from place A to place B by bike. So I just go on time, exactly on time. So I don't waste any time.
Okay.
That's then from here it comes that I can do a lot of things that I couldn't fit in my schedule when I was living in Egypt. And from there comes a lot of nice things, a lot of nice achievements, a lot of nice hobbies that were already actually, I started to work on them again. I couldn't do this in Egypt because I didn't have enough time for everything. Yeah, and so on.
Why do you compare that with your lifestyle in Egypt? Like, what changed? Is it the traffic time? Because for me, traffic in Egypt was a challenge. For instance, since I came to Germany, I didn't have to drive. I don't have a driving license. I don't need it. And yes, I agree with you that you save more time. But maybe you can tell us, like, what was the main reason that you wasted some time in Egypt that you now save?
Okay, traffic is a direct, easy example for the daily life. But I would also say that, yeah, let's say that the people doesn't respect the time that much in Egypt. So let's say one day you needed to go to the doctor. You have an appointment at certain time. You go to the place, to the clinic at this time, and then you have to wait for a couple of hours. That's just a waste of time. Let's say that you need to do something with the government. Then you can't actually take an appointment. You just have to go. If you are lucky, there will be a queue. Otherwise, it will be just chaos. And then you have to deal with this. And then you waste a lot of time to get things done and to leave. It's, yeah, maybe these are the examples that I have in my head at the moment. But actually, the life in Egypt is like this. Everything is like this. So I can give you on the other side what happens here. If you have an appointment with a doctor, it's just 30 minutes. The appointment itself is just 30 minutes. If you went 30 minutes late, you're done. You're not going to see the doctor. So you have to be on time, and you actually know that you will leave also on time. Same thing when you have something with the government, the same thing happens. Actually, even food, like if you decided to order some food, to pick up some food, or to order some, you know that the food will mostly arrive in time.
I
So
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you can really manage your time otherwise in Egypt, you just waste the time and I don't understand why.
I totally understand. So, how did you manage to make the best use of this safe time, ya Mustafa? I know you have a lot of developed hobbies. You're posting always about your music, your sports, your achievements. So
Yeah.
maybe tell us how moving to the Netherlands gave you the time and maybe changed your personality in a way or another.
Yeah, of course. So I didn't start sports when I was kid, but I started a little bit later. Um, and I was actually trying when I was in Egypt. And then when I moved to the Netherlands, it became much easier to like with the availability of the time that I can give more time to these kind of sports. And then I started actually doing triathlons. Um, I didn't do this when I was in Egypt. I started when I moved to the Netherlands. And I started actually developing like my endurance part by part until I reached the full Ironman. And actually now I feel like my body can do a lot that I didn't really know that I can do this one day. So maybe I started late, but it's working because I can do these things in a good time. So the nice part is that I can manage perfectly with work. I can train before work or after work or both most of the times. So that's part. And then yeah, exactly. I wanted to learn to play piano for very long time, for too many years, and I didn't actually start. I didn't have enough time or enough spirit or enough yeah, because also when you waste a lot of time you feel like a little bit negative energy, and then you cannot still use everything, like every minute that you have. So then I started also to learn um, piano a little bit and started to see if it's working, and then it worked fine a bit, and then I started to like practice it more, and then I became much better, and then I feel like it's getting much and much better, and then I decided, okay, let's move to the next level, and then yeah, and so on. And then you can hear now I'm not the best still in these pieces that I'm recording, but yeah, at least I never imagined that I can go to one of the public places and then have a piano there, and then I play to people that I don't know, and then they actually start thanking me about the nice music, and they come and ask me if I can play something. Yeah, so
Wow.
exactly. So these things, yeah, I had always the passion, but yeah, you need a lot of time to do everything. And then yeah, of course, these are the two examples that I do the most, but I still like to do too many. I like to try too many things. I tried skiing and I just went to Austria for a skiing trip. That also went crazy, and also bouldering, ping pong, of course. What else did I do? I was also playing chess, so I tried to also find people here in the Netherlands to play chess together. Yeah, I have a long list actually.
Wow, it's awesome. So I think it's not only the time because some people have the time back in Egypt or here, but I think it's also the peace of mind. Like since I moved to Germany, I got to develop somehow also this more connection with nature, more humane way of moving. Like I walk on the city streets and there are pavements and I feel safer because like on the streets here, it's for me, especially as a woman, it's a privilege. And definitely I also engaged in more sports. Like back in Egypt, I was raised practicing sports the whole time, but I didn't practice that on my way going or coming back from work in Egypt or also to the university. So yeah, here it becomes part of your daily life or your daily mobility. And I definitely say like here the environment with the quiet places, sometimes it's like not as vibrant, not as lively as in Egypt, I would say sometimes. But it gives you this peace of mind sometimes that, and I think for any creativity to take place, sometimes you need this calm, peace of mind space. And
Definitely.
not yeah, and not and the, with the very fast rhythm that sometimes we have back in Egypt, it's you're really like running, and once you zoom out sometimes and get out of your norm, move to somewhere new, you get this like free fresh eye, or maybe free time, free space to do this. And yeah, well, Mustafa, you're doing a great job like making time for all the hobbies that you have. But now I have a question, like, how is that in your work life? Is that you have some development now? Definitely you shared it on your personal level, or like your hobbies, and definitely your health, taking care of your
Okay.
health, definitely. How about your work life? Is it like in Egypt? Is it better? Is it more challenging?
Um, I would say you can choose the like the style of work progress that you would like to have. So there is for me it's a benefit. Maybe when I was in Egypt, I was like working in a much more challenging environment, I would say, although it's not my preference. That's not what I wished for. I like my job, but I like to do just my job. I don't want to be like the best developer on earth. So in Egypt, back in Egypt, this kind of um, what should I say, race in work, it was always there. I can't choose not to be in this kind of loop. But here in the Netherlands, I can choose this. I can stay like do the things that I like to do, and then the the company can get the benefits of me being satisfied and happy and doing this job in a nice way. And I don't have to look to others because oh, if I didn't do one, two, three, then I will lose the job one day or so. So this kind of security is also important, to be honest. So maybe I stressed on the time part, but definitely um, the less stress part that I have here in the Netherlands is really important. Job wise, as you mentioned, also like the quietness, even the quietness, the less noise is really a big part. Like when I go back to Egypt now in the vacations, I feel the headache all the time, and I need to go back to just hear the silence for a while. That's also part that these kind of things just keep stressing you all the time. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, you can't do everything that you like to do the way that you like to do it. But for me, yeah, I just work because, okay, I'm having a good job, but I don't want to seek like the best job. I'm just okay with the job as much as I'm doing it happily. I don't have the stress that I might lose it if I didn't um, like progress that fast. That's fine for them. They accept that I do a lot of sports. Actually, they started to have like they started to encourage people to do more sports, and then they can actually register for the people for some races, and then we do it as a group. Last year, I remember the running event in Eindhoven. I registered for with the company for the 10.5 kilometers, and I finished the first of all the business groups, like all the companies. I finished the first one, and it for them it was something that they have an employee on the leaders board. So in a way
Oh,
or another, it could help.
definitely, yes. I see that you're 100% pro and satisfied, touch wood, with your move to the Netherlands. I feel like you're promoting it in a way or another.
uh, yeah, let's say I'm actually satisfied that I can I can control my time, and I can control the way that I want to live here. Maybe, of course, there are some negative things, of course, but still, when I look to the big picture, I'm still enjoying that I have too much good things, and much more positives than the negatives.
As I was saying again, you are almost promoting to the Netherlands. I totally appreciate that and giving definitely your honest opinion about it. But now I want you to honestly tell us, what are you missing about Egypt the most? Um, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, of course, there are two main things that you miss in Egypt. First thing is, of course, the people that you love, the people that you like to spend your time with. These are the friends that you chose to be friends for years, and then you don't have them anymore in the same place. So, of course, the family and friends is a big thing. Actually, it's one of the reasons why I choose the Netherlands and not somewhere else that is much far than Egypt, because then I was actually going to Egypt very frequently, like 4 or 5 times per year, even for short times, to just see them, spend some time with them, connect with them, and then go back to the Netherlands. So that's one big thing. And the other thing is the food, of course. Unfortunately, the Dutch people, like, they are good in too many things, but not in the food.
Okay. And by the way, how is the language barrier? Because here in Germany, it is really a big thing. Like, it's not easy really to work in Germany or live in Germany without knowing the language. And if you only speak English, there are some international jobs, not in my field. I'm an architect, but in your field, definitely there are a lot of jobs in English. It is more of an international career, being a software developer or engineer. But still, like, knowing the language gives you a lot of privilege in engaging more in the community, understanding more about the culture, or even getting more jobs.
Yeah,
How is that for you?
that's exactly one of the big pluses in the Netherlands, much more than Germany, because everybody here is speaking English. So in a way, it's a very big plus, because I didn't learn Dutch. I started learning Dutch like a couple of months ago, and that's it. For the first 4.5 years, I didn't even need to study Dutch. Um, Everybody is speaking English. Whichever job they have, they're just speaking English. Whenever you want to do something, you can find someone speaking English easily, and they are okay with it. Of course, they would be happy if you can speak Dutch, but they don't mind at all, and you don't feel any offensive move from them if you're just speaking in English, and they're just accepting it perfectly. So yeah, it's also something that by the way, my original plan was to move to Germany, but because of the bike things, I decided to go to the Netherlands, and I didn't know that they are here like more flexible with the expats than Germany. I explored this by experience, but they truly are, and they actually all speak English perfectly, even much better than me. Then yeah, it wasn't an issue, to be honest.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm moving to Netherlands. Yeah, find me a job.
I guess you're speaking like Deutsch, like a good Deutsch now, so maybe you can easily communicate also with the people. But if you move to the Netherlands, of course, you're most welcome there.
I feel like you're really promoting. They should give you the citizenship for that promoting. But now, wait, what are the biggest challenges or challenging moments or like hard moments that you really survived in the Netherlands as an Egyptian moving abroad alone, changing your lifestyle? There must have been also hard times.
Um,
Say no.
yeah, of course. Yeah, making friends, I would say close friends, is a big challenge. It's not that easy, and it could be actually a challenge for all the time. Like, um, of course, back in Egypt, I had too many close friends that I can truly spend the time with without thinking too much. But here in the Netherlands, it's not that easy. Everybody has their own life and so on. If I would say about a challenge like this, but this is actually, yeah. So I would say the dating here in Netherlands, for me, it's for an Egyptian guy who's just moved at this age. Yeah, it's a big challenge. But that's the only thing that I feel like it's hard to gain the trust of the people in this part.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mentioning this point that you are an Egyptian single guy moving to the Netherlands, maybe you can experience because there are some stereotypes about Egyptian men living in a certain way in Egypt, and with travel comes some consequences that some Egyptian men are not raised to endure having to take care of your whole life and be independent totally from your family living alone. We come from a
Okay.
tradition like I used to also live with my parents back home, and I think you did also the same.
Yeah.
So how was that change for you as a guy moving abroad?
Um, I would say some people are accepting to change, and those are the people who can make life easier when they move. And some other people, they just don't change, and then nothing will change. But for me, I would say, of course, when I was in Egypt, I was one of these guys. I didn't do anything. And then when I moved to the Netherlands in the beginnings, I tried to do things and I couldn't actually. Like, I tried to learn some recipes to cook for myself and I couldn't. I failed too many times. And then um, um, I was just finding a way, let's say, but I was spending more money because of this. So by time when I decided, okay, it's time to reduce the costs that I'm paying for like deliveries or even the pre-prepared food in the supermarkets, and then you just put it in the oven or so. It's still food, but you pay extra money for this. So yeah, I paid a lot because of this. But then later on, I learned things and I started to do things like on my own. Actually, I didn't even know by that time that it was affecting my performance in sports. And when I started cooking more, I actually improved in sports just because I'm eating from things that I did myself. So I know what exactly is there. But yeah, I would say it took some time for me, but I can manage things now.
Yeah, and it's not only Egyptian men. I would say I also come from a family where I wasn't cooking, I wasn't cleaning the house. As somebody would come and help, and cooking was also not my direct responsibility. I would do it also, but since I moved to Germany, I also living in a dorm in a German culture. There is not very much the culture of like a student. I wouldn't bring a maid or somebody to clean my room in the
Yeah,
dorm,
yeah.
so I learned in a shared apartment, we have to clean. One has a turn. And then moving alone in my apartment, then I needed to learn to take care of everything and every detail and cook for myself. I didn't used to cook or give so much concern about what I'm eating and doing the grocery shopping and everything. So it also took a lot of time to adapt. And if I'm eating every day with my colleagues at work for the lunch break to socialize or build my social network at work, it definitely costs a lot, like you were mentioning. Part of it is like socializing, but part of it it's really a high cost to spend all your money
Yeah.
on eating outside. So, and also as you mentioned it indirectly as well. Like I developed this kind of minding what I'm eating and what do I want to put in my body. And also doing sports, I need to focus, I need to learn. And I honestly learned a lot about my nutrition and what I'm eating and recipes and everything when I moved here. And then it's also the pleasure and the constraint. I can control everything. I do my grocery, I do my cooking, so I have the whole process, so I can control it. Meanwhile, in Egypt, when it's very nice, it's very warm. I'm not directly taking care of it because then I would leave my parents and everything. But I can't control everything, and I have somehow to adapt to what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on. So yeah, that's definitely a privilege of being here and a challenge as well. Yeah, but yeah, what else did it also this experience maybe change your mindset or your
Um,
personality?
I'm not sure. What else can I? Um, not
Okay, you
sure.
don't
I'm not
really have
really
to
sure.
find something else. You don't really
I'm
have to
trying
change
to
something.
focus, but I don't really have something on my. Maybe the next questions bring up something. Yeah, let's see.
Okay, and do you think of going back to Egypt? Or do you see yourself growing up in the Netherlands, maybe having kids there, maybe starting a family? How do you see that?
Um, okay, let's first answer the first question because that should be easier. Going back to Egypt could be quite hard for me now because, as I told you, there are two factors. The first factor is that I'm used to live without too much stress and also um, with 100% control of my time. If I decided to go back to Egypt, I have I will need the therapy to truly to adapt my mind again, suddenly to accept that I can't do these things. It's just almost the same thing that if you are freely walking in a garden and then suddenly you got arrested and you can't do this anymore. It would be hard for me. And the other thing is that I choose a career path that is accepting to be very flexible with age. So for me, if I decided to work the same thing in Egypt, they will never be satisfied with this. They will seek like people of different background, or they will give me like less salary because I choose different path. Because this culture is not, it's not the same culture in Egypt work-wise. You have to grow in certain path. You cannot choose several paths to grow in at work. So for me, I will also have to downgrade my life if I decided to go to Egypt just because of this culture. So for me, it's going to be a hard decision. To grow older in the Netherlands and to have, of course, the optimum thing would be to grow older with a family and then have kids and then, yeah, start hopefully raising them in a better environment and a better experience than I got when I was a kid. And then hopefully they would become like much mature. Um, so that's the optimum, but I'm not sure if it will. Yeah, we will just seek it and let's hope for the best.
But I mean, you see now the future vision is to stay and grow old in the Netherlands. You don't see moving to another country. You definitely said you don't want to, you won't move to Egypt, but now the vision is to stay long term
Yeah,
in the
moving
Netherlands.
to another country could be an option, temporary, but I think I would still prefer to go back to the Netherlands. I
Wow.
didn't see, even during my visits, to the other countries, the European countries or the Arabian countries, or even the US. I didn't see a place at which I feel like that's even better than the Netherlands and I would like to stay there. No, I didn't see that yet.
I think I'm calling the Queen to give you the citizenship already.
They should listen to this interview and hopefully they decide something about that. Then it
Oh,
makes life
okay.
easier.
Some people start this conversation with like, "I'm a hardcore Egyptian," and now you're like, "Okay, that's a very interesting interview." And back to the mindset question, I think now we have a different mindset and different vision of having the life, and that's quite a change in the mindset. I indirectly meant because like when I started this interviewing initiative or like podcast project that I'm in, I thought, okay, let's maybe do it about the woman.
Okay.
And then I thought, no, I don't want to be the stereotype feminist and talking only about women. And I see everyone has a different experience and it should not be biased to any person or any gender or anything. And then I started doing some interviews with single people, like a lazy traveling person, then her man, and then the other way around, or a whole family moving. And then it's really nice and kind of you to accept the invitation. Yeah, and give us some more perspective about your experience. And indirectly, by my question about the mindset, really kind of like waiting how would you maybe build up on this question that as an Arab Egyptian man who started to cook, who started to have a different lifestyle, how maybe that would have changed also your mindset, the way we were raised back or from the culture that we were
Yeah,
raised back in Egypt.
yeah, that's true. Actually, even now, because my mother was used to to cook for me, like everything, and then last year I managed to arrange a visit for her to the Netherlands, and the day that she came and I brought her here from the airport, I actually cooked everything, and it was the first time for her to eat something from me, and she was really surprised that it worked that way. She was like in shock. Who are you? How did you do that? And then I also used the time that she was here with me and I decided, okay, let's cook something and I want to learn this from you. So I would bring everything that you tell me and then I write down the recipe and I write down how to do it and she cook it and I keep monitoring it and then I learned how to do it. And that's, yeah, for her, this is new.
Wow, okay, that is really beautiful. I, I,
Yeah.
I hope you felt and you good about it and that you enjoyed it, but you sound like it.
I would say as long as you're moving to a better version of yourself, then it's definitely good. Maybe the people are raised like the men don't do these things of the house. I would always prefer to help with these things as long as I can do it now. Of course, I don't enjoy it, but yeah, I will have to do it. And as long as I'm doing it myself for myself, then definitely if I have a partner one day, then I would love to share these things and then try to help a bit in things or another.
Yeah,
Of
I
it's
totally
it's
understand.
quite different than the mindset in Egypt, of course, but it's much better to be honest. I'm happy that I
I think
learned
so.
this.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. I also am happy that I learned my life, my hand, I would say. Also learning to cook, to clean everything, to be able to know how a household is run. And I
Yeah,
think that's very
yeah,
important asset or quality that one needs to learn, and it's slowly coming into our culture here or in Egypt as expats or back in Egypt, I hope. And also I would definitely stress on the term that you even use, that you, if you one day have a partner, which is a very interesting concept or a word, that it's not really like a man or a wife or a husband or everything, but it's really a partner.
yeah,
And it
definitely.
gives a lot of sense to the word itself. So yeah, now you were promoting the Netherlands so strongly, so fiercely. Everyone wants to come to the Netherlands now. I wasn't quite sure that I really understood this point where you have more opportunities to move within your career now in the Netherlands, which wouldn't be appreciated as much back in Egypt. Um, I come from a different domain, so I'm
Yeah,
not
let
sure that I
me
will
give you
understand.
a
And
simple example. I'm working as a software developer. Um, that means that I'm writing some code to do some functionality, and I can have a team member like doing the same job, and he has like 50 years old. It's totally fine here in the Netherlands that everyone do the job that they like, and he will still get paid in based on his experience, not based on the job position.
I see. Okay.
So
Yeah,
if
that's very interesting.
I
Mhm.
am if I'm living in Egypt, if I didn't move up like in the managerial hierarchy, then I'm not going to proceed. That's the difference. So now, if I went back to Egypt, okay, I have a lot of experience in software development, but for them, it will be as almost the same as like 5 or 7 years old experience engineer. So the rest of the 12 years are not counted.
Understand. Yes. And that's a very interesting way and positive way to put it because some people here in Germany they complain, the expats who move from Egypt, that they complain that they don't really get up the ladder like as fast as they would get into it in Egypt because they're always having the same mindset. And some people don't like it. They want to move and to want to get more fast into a managerial position. Whereas here, people might stay in the same position as you said, or the same task for 50 years, and they're happy and they're satisfied. And it's because they have a life outside this job, and the job is it's stable. You're doing what they need in it,
Yeah,
but it's not
exactly.
necessarily like I have to compete to reach the top at the
By the
moment.
way, I have friends who are managers and they're younger than me, and that's fine. It's truly a mindset, and it's not easy for people who didn't raise um, they not raised like this to accept this. But yeah, it's the way that you would like to live. So for me, it's totally fine. Actually, they offered me to be a manager for several times, but I didn't want that. It's just not part of my hopes or plans for the career. I enjoy to do this software development, and I enjoy to gain more and more experience horizontally in the same thing. Maybe different products, maybe different platforms, but I just don't want to be a manager. And it's totally fine for me to have a manager that is younger than me. They know how important I am in the team, and I also am fine. I don't feel any sensitivity about this. So it's truly a mindset that yeah, the people yeah, it's different from a person to another, but for me, I'm very flexible with it.
That's really beautiful, Mustafa. Really, I really appreciate you sharing this because some people are putting themselves under so much high pressure because of thinking, yeah, I have to compete the whole time. I have to reach to this position. I have to be affected by the mindset of everyone around me. I have to compete, and they really forget it is their choice after all to choose a different way of living, and if it fits them, if it makes them happy, if they can balance their life and do all the things that you're doing, like your sports, your music, your hobbies, and you have this peaceful mindset and way of living, and I think that's really beautiful to get your own perspective, your mindset, and be happy with it.
Yeah,
Thank you for
definitely.
really for sharing that.
Yeah, truly, I would encourage everyone to know themselves, to know what do they like and what do they want to live, how do they want to live, and then adapt based on this.
I think from my side, I don't really have any more questions. Maybe you have more thoughts, or maybe you would share with us why did you approve my request to have an interview with you.
Okay. Actually, I never minded sharing this experience with anyone. So whenever I know that a friend is thinking to move or so, I would always be happy if I'm helping someone. Even actually, if they don't want to move, if they just need seeking an advice regarding a decision for the career or to choose something related to sports or how to start learning piano, because I'm posting a little bit more now on the social media about the things that I achieve by time. And actually I get from time to time people who send me like very nice words, like you are really motivating us to start some, because I truly started from scratch. I truly started from zero. um, and it gives hope to some people that, yeah, if someone has already done this on this age, then you still can do it. That's the part that I feel like I'm at least useful to the community in a way or another. So I would never mind actually to share this experience to anyone. And if anyone has any question, just they can contact me. I will definitely be happy to help if I can.
Thank you for that also, and for being that helpful. I think that it saves a lot of effort and time for anyone who's taking the decision. But you mentioned that you started from zero. I remember you also told me, like when I started to learn triathlon or to decide to start trying triathlon, you helped me a lot about running skills. I hate running. I still do, but it was part of the triathlon thing to do. And I'm really grateful until today that you taught me a lot of stuff and you introduced me to the rolling foam, how to get myself trained, how to make the hit training, how to really learn a lot about the triathlon. So thank you so much for that. And I personally know that you yourself a lot of and sports information and nutritional facts yourself. So we didn't really stress on that point enough, I'd say. And you mentioned it in between so fast that you are an Iron Man now. So
Yeah.
maybe say something about it again. How did you teach yourself all these?
Um, okay, I would say, of course, I was suffering in the beginning because I also needed to let my body start doing more loads by time. And then for me, actually, like just half distance of an Ironman race was something I didn't even know if I can do it or not, especially with swimming, because I'm not that good swimmer at all. I learned swimming when quite late, and I'm always like one of the worst swimmers in triathlons. But then um, it was a challenge for me in the beginning, and then when I did it for the first time, yeah, I did a lot of mistakes, of course, and then I learned. I started searching does it take more time for me than the other people, and then I started to know more things. And of course, I also asked too many experienced people to know some tips about how is it going. And then by time it gets more and more. And then actually by time I started to feel like I can actually work on my body abilities even more. And then the the the, um, the more I achieve goals, the more I feel eager to achieve more and more. And that's the crazy part about sports, that I always say that sports are very fair. If you give it, you will take something in return. So the more you give sports, the more sports will give you. And I would say also a tip that I would advise everyone to do it. For me, whenever I go through a very down time, like whenever something is truly hard in my personal life goes, I use it, and I use the anger that I have inside to push myself to be even better in these kind of things. So the peaks that I had in sports uh, always came after a very down time. Like I was almost zero spirit, and I decided, okay, I'm going to get back on track even better, even harder. I was focusing all the time. Whenever I have a negative feeling or negative energy, I just put it on sports. And then I became much better. So I would say, yeah, everyone, of course, has their own bad times or negative times or very down times. I would say use it to be a better person in the end.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. I really remember I contacted you recently and I wrote you a message because you were sharing these posts about your achievements recently last year and your achievements in sport. And I remember I definitely wrote you this thing that
Yeah,
every time I have this hard time, I remember you and I think, okay, that is a good time to use sports out of here.
yeah, definitely. Um, I would say if someone learned the benefit of doing sports, actually, it shouldn't just be sports. It could be anything that they really like, something that really takes you out of this world. So whoever, whatever it is for everyone, everyone should have something that really makes them like totally disconnected from the rest of the world. I would say, yeah, find it, work on it on your hard times. Talking about sports and nutrition, these things will take much more time. So maybe in a different interview, we can speak more about these things. But that's the main idea, that really it got developed a lot just because I was super down at some parts of my life.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate you sharing this. And I know it teaches a lot of discipline. Like I
That's true.
remember you at the beginning of also like competing so often, and when you had this Ironman concept or challenge or goal, that you were going through a lot of like you were having accidents, you were having like
That's
problems, and
true.
you
That's true.
and I remember you keeping and pushing through, and also I remember that's how I also like survived my whole childhood. It was a discipline. Like it was something like school. I would be training before school, after school, on my weekends, having championships, and it was a discipline. It's not something
Uh,
that you wake up today, you do it. And I also say that's something very important that you mentioned. It's really, really important to have some refuge. Like sometimes I get out of the office and I'm super frustrated, I'm super stressed, and that's where like, okay, I need to do some sports now to release this
Yeah,
energy. I cannot
yeah,
really be engaging with any person now. I really need to get this out of my system, and I need to do some sports. And at some points of my life, I was losing track. I was so much working and I was so much involved at work that I came out of balance. I didn't have time to socialize. I did not have enough time to focus on sports. And whenever I get out of my life, I feel its impact on myself. And if I'm not working, then it's like a whole void. And what are we doing now? And definitely, as you said, it is really, really important to keep this source of like, I don't know how to say it, but treasure on the side, that whenever you're out of energy, that you go there, take something and keep your mind busy with it to get you going and get you off your feet again.
yeah, definitely. And I would say, as long as it shouldn't always be sports. Maybe some
Yes.
people are not able to do sports,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they
That's true.
can disconnect from the world in a different way. And
Yes.
everyone should, I would say, everyone should have their own like thing to do. Hopefully, they already know it, and then just go for it.
Yeah. Next interview would be about sports and nutrition, but for
Okay.
today we have to. We have to. Yeah. Give you some more time to enjoy your evening, and I would like to really thank you so much for sharing your experience and for having this open invitation for everyone to reach out to you whenever they
Sure.
need advice.
Sure.
So thank you so much, Mustafa, and
And
hope to see you somewhere soon around the world, or maybe meet in a competition. But I do the small sprint competitions. I cannot compete for the
yeah,
Ironman.
yeah, that's fine. And thanks actually for your time. Thanks for the interview. Thanks for reminding me about these values, because it's always good to have these kind of questions and then I talk about them and then I remember always uh, these values. That also helps a lot for me as well. So yeah, thank you so much. And of course, let's talk about sports and nutrition one day.
Okay. Next interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a nice evening and see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Yasmin. Bye bye.